Welcome to another episode of the B&E Show. My name is JR Watkis, and this week I have another special guest. His name is Stephen Price. He has been in the entertainment business as well as he's a business person. Now, Stephen has been a part of Dream Entertainment, the same company that does Dream Weekend. You know that party that people fly in for in Jamaica and Negril? Yes, Stephen has been a director of that company, but he's also the vice president and general manager for Flow. So he is on two sides, both business, both entertainment. And he's going to tell us all about his career and what are the new developments in technology that's about to impact the entertainment business. Stephen Price.
How you doing, my friend?
Thank you for joining me on the B&E Show, Brethren.
No, man, definitely. I'm glad to be here.
So, Stephen, where are you from and how did you get your present job?
No, well, I think I raised under the clock, let's say that, as we all say. Really, I've been one of those success stories, having risen right through the ranks, starting in the industry as a call center agent, moving between couple companies, but then really ending up now as a VP and general manager of the entire business. So it's been one of those stories that of this hard work and grit to really get what you want and have a vision in life to make sure you achieve it.
When they said there's no upward mobility for call center workers, that's not true.
Not true at all. Not true at all. You can work your way all the way up. And there are many stories littered right across Jamaica that show that this is possible. There is no money to be made or real money to be made from chopping and all these other illicit activities. If you do it the right way, if you focus on your goals and your dreams, you can work your way up the ladder and commit to lifelong learning.
That's a good lesson. Now, how did you get into the entertainment business?
Really, at first, really hobby, just playing around from that perspective. I think my brother and his partners at the time, Richard Beer and Solomon Sharp, in RAS Promotions were the genesis of my wanting to be there. Andrew stepped back a bit out of RAS. Solomon, from Main Event fame. And
Main Event is a listed company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
There you go, right? And we reinvented the series in terms of Beer Vibes and started doing that. In 2009, I think the entertainment industry reached a pause. And we wanted to see what could we do for ourselves. So a number of players within the space came together in 2009 to form what we call Dream Entertainment. And I think the big, hairy, audacious goal for us was, how do we make Jamaica or make Negril into the Cancun of the Caribbean? How do we make it into the Ibiza of the Caribbean, where you have an entire entertainment calendar all through the summer? You have seasons of entertainment, and that was the big dream and the big vision. And Scott Dunn, PJ Wright, Greg Wright, Carlos Philpott, Solomon, myself, Philip Palmer, all those directors came together to really see what we could do. And we disrupted the industry then and continue to disrupt it. We now have the biggest carnival band on the road with Exodus in Jamaica. We've transported the Dream Weekend series overseas in New York, and we've just recently completed a series in Malta, which was quite amazing.
So you would say you guys achieved your dreams?
No, not yet, not yet. When we get an entire season of entertainment in Jamaica, I think that's where our team will feel that they've accomplished.
What does that look like? What does an entire season of entertainment?
It means more players. It just doesn't mean just Dream Entertainment. It means all players in Jamaica, the tourism interests, entertainment. It's just really coming together and saying, really, we can make this bigger. We can fill our hotels for an entire summer. You shouldn't have seasons like the winter tourist season, etc. We want an entertainment tourism season, and the summer is a perfect time for that, to really create that vibe. And from Easter right down, where you normally would have low bookings, etc., you want to create that kind of environment that benefits small hotels, villas, Airbnb, hotels, large hotels, to really have that kind of energy. In Ibiza, they have an opening weekend and a whole season. So every week, the entire crowd changes out, every single week.
I went to Vegas a couple weeks ago, and as soon as I landed, I knew what Vegas was about. at the airport, you saw slot machines, you saw everything was being advertised, residences with Pitbull, Sean Paul was supposed to be there. But when you land in Jamaica, you can't tell this is a party town. How do you suggest that Kingston, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios have a party aesthetic where you know that this is a fun place? What exactly you can, whether it's a play, a party, a stage show, how do you suggest they amp up that vibe year round?
I think it goes back to a couple of things, both the infrastructure, but also as well as how we market the brand itself in terms of Jamaica, right? I mean, we've marketed for years, sun, sea, and sand. We know it's much more than that. We know it's the athletes, we know it's the entertainment, we know it's the culture, we know it's the music. We have to really encapsulate all that in a kind of brand energy that we want to really push out there. Not only do you get the kind of Caucasian American kind of tourists that come in, but you want to go right across the globe to understand, tap into Gen X, Gen Z in terms of those new markets, in terms of making sure these are the things that they want. They're an Instagram kind of society, a TikTok society. You really want to do the things and create the kind of memories and imagery. So from the airport right back to where the hotels are and where the entertainment facilities, you have to have the kind of structure in place where you have entertainment facilities, spaces that are dedicated for such, that have the right night noise kind of levels that you can live with and those things so that everybody can cohabitate. It's not going to be easy, but we need to really bring all the stakeholders to the table. I think Carnival in Jamaica has that kind of model, where it brings all the stakeholders, hotels, everybody together, and it's a good model that works in terms of investment with the tourist board, etc., waste management, the whole 9 yards. We just have to get that formula together with tourism and entertainment tourism, and then you can add the whole layer of sports tourism and those things on top of that.
And then how do you take it up? Where do you package it and send it abroad? How do you fund that? I see Live Nation having record quarters. They have shows all over the world, not just in the US, and they're expanding. Have you guys thought about joining with a Live Nation and having a Jamaica Nation and expanding the brands and the different parties all over the world?
I think we have started that partnership discussion. I mean, obviously, Scott Dunn, Kamal Banki, who are chairman and CEO of Dream Entertainment, they've actually really forged that path for us. I mean, they forged a path in terms of working with huge groups like Afro Nation, right? That was who our partners were with Dream Week in Malta recently. We're partnered.
Wow, I didn't know that.
We partnered with them. We're doing other partnerships and we're seeking that. I mean, it's a growing process. Live Nation is a huge juggernaut. It's a juggernaut that owns stadiums, it owns
the tickets. They own the tickets. Master.
They just have to press, just advertise, show here, push the button, sell. It will be sold. We'd love to get there. It's possible, but we're trying to make sure that we continue the packaging. Carnival is going to be an amazing thing. I think we have the potential for Jamaica to be the best carnival in the region. Price points, enough rooms for tourists and guests. We really need to push that even heavier. But even from the perspective of Dream Entertainment, the Dream Weekend series, even if you partner with and look at just how that entire summer can be stacked up. You have Summerfest, you have these things, We need to market all that together.
As one thing.
Country, as one thing, to really drive the inflows. Because there's no reason why it just has to be 1 week,
How much money you think is generated between Summerfest in July and the Dream Weekend, the end of the Dream Weekend events?
I think in that 2 week or 3 week period, I'd say it contributes about maybe about 8 billion to the local economy.
8 billion Jamaican.
And when you talk about rooms, in terms of people have stay, food, transportation, flights, everything put together. What they spend with craft vendors, what they spend with tours, those kind of things. It could come to about 8 billion just based on the amount of guests that come in through the period. And
entertainment is such a unique ecosystem that it not only benefits the high man, or what they're always doing Parliament is talk about the cane man, but it benefits the entire chain.
Every piece of the chain, because production in terms of stage, lighting, music, sound, pan chicken man, cigarette man, chewing gum, all these people participate in this economy and depend on it. You know, so you can't necessarily shut out people. You have to be inclusive in terms of how you do it. Make sure that you find ways to have everybody at every layer of the scale. You need cleanup crew. You need bartenders. You need all these things to keep an industry like this going. There's lots of jobs in there. Every year, I mean, like say for instance, Dream Entertainment, Scott will tell you, we produce at least 500 to 600 jobs for that week, right there to support the event in terms of all the moving parts of the event, in terms of production, in terms of food, catering, everything. You know, we do have that amount of impact. So just multiply that. 1 week becomes 2 weeks, 2 weeks becomes 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You have a live industry there that you can feed and continue to help to blossom.
When we come back, we're going to talk about how to use the culture to sell anything, including telecom services. We'll be right back. I'm JR Watkis, and this is the B&E Show on CBS.
You may have fears in listing on the main market or the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Whatever those fears are, we can help you to allay them. Give us a call today. Our friendly professional staff will help you through the process. Let us have that conversation. Give us that call.
If it were not for the Jamaica Stock Exchange listing, Ostrich Company Limited would not be where it's at today.
FESCO started from 5 shareholders who believed that they could execute a fuel company as good as or as better than any multinational.
Caribbean flavors and fragrances. I have seen that our company has expanded tremendously after being listed.
Our experience so far has translated into additional customers.
Being listed on the stock exchange allows us a certain prestige. It also speaks to accountability and transparency.
Our transparency has allowed us to access credit easier and at better rates.
We have expanded in terms of our customer base, in terms of our suppliers.
All the fears I had about banks, about losing control, you are having them. And I tell you, they were dissipated when I spoke to the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
So if you're a private company thinking about growing your profits, having better access to capital, I really think you should consider listing on the junior or the main market.
You may have fears in listing on the main market or the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Whatever those fears are, we can help you to allay them. Give us a call today. Our friendly professional staff will help you through the process. Let us have that conversation. Give us that call.
Go ahead, have that conversation as soon as possible. We did it and we're very happy.
Make that call now.
You will be glad you did.
Welcome back to the B&E Show. I am JR Watkis, and my guest this week is Stephen Price, VP and General Manager of Flow Jamaica. And Stephen is telling us all about Dream Weekend and the Dream Entertainment Company. And now I'm going to talk to him a little about how the culture is used as an advertising tool for telecoms products. Stephen, as the call center worker, the VP of Sales at one point at Flow, now the VP of Cable and Wireless and General Manager for Flow, you've seen how the culture directly affects the bottom line. If you have an ad to run, you're going to pick people who have cultural capital to use, and you're going to use the music. How important is finding the right people from the culture, and how important is using the culture for sending a message?
Yeah. I think the most important thing that you have to recognize as any brand in this country, the culture is of the people, for the people, by the people. So you can't separate it from your customers. You know what's important to them, you know what they like, you know what they term. I think if I step back a bit, when our brand was Lime back in the day, we had everybody from Bounty B, Spice,
Shaggy,
everybody.
IT Fancy Cat,
Exactly.
Iceman.
We've had so many people and from different genres, comedy, culture, dancehall. You know, I mean, we had all of these together because it was important to our customers. As we continue to mature, we continue to have that thrust, right? I mean, we've had Shensi as a brand ambassador at one point. Spice in recent times, and I hope she really gets well very soon, you know, and back to normal. And Beanie has assisted us in a couple of brands. It's important to connect with your people and what they like and what they love. You know?
And Tommy and Wayne.
And Tommy and Wayne in recent times, even though it's not as Wayne Marshall, but it's that Mitchell's, right? You know, so it's very important to connect with these kind of influencers because obviously they also carry a fan base. They also are cutting edge and want to be cutting edge. And we've made those kind of partnerships, and I think we have selected quite well over this period. Nobody has really brought us any form of embarrassment, and we're really proud of the partnerships that we've made over time.
Which is what I mean about selecting the right person. We see Kanye West and Adidas having a tumble, Kanye and Gap, difference of opinions, freedom of speech is on the table. How do you go about selecting a brand to represent your brand? Like, what are the things you look for?
I think first and foremost, what you have to recognize is that it's not without risk, right? Because it is that lifestyle, it's that belief that pulls fans into many of these characters, right? So you have to trust, you have your guidelines, you have your contracts in place in terms of what to do, what not to do, etc., when you want to represent our brand. And especially during the period, I think one of the key things, always keep the dialogue open with your partners. Understand how they think, understand what they believe in, and even help and encourage and coach, right? Because it can't be just a one-way relationship with you and your ambassador. You have to also give, and they also give, and you both share and create that kind of symbiotic relationship. It's like the relationship where we have like Elaine Thompson, right? I mean, it's quite a good beneficial relationship in terms of how we work with her, you know, in terms of the appearances, how we build her brand as well, in terms of her giving brand and those things. It works well. It's a two-way street that we have to develop.
Because if they win, you win, and vice versa.
Exactly.
Starlink has entered the Jamaican market space, the Caribbean market space. Mm-hmm. They're expanding with low latency satellites, which is quite different from what Flow and Digicel has. How will that technology in Jamaica affect how people consume content, music, Netflix, all of these things?
I think the key thing is we as a country, we lag behind a bit in terms of penetration, broadband penetration. And it's for a couple of reasons, right? I mean, access to devices, access to infrastructure, affordability is a huge one. Just recognize our GDP per capita, 4,000. And when you look at that,
4,000 Jamaican
US dollars
4,000 US
per year, per annum, per capita.
Per year?
Per capita. You break that down per month.
We're going to put this on the screen.
when you break that down per capita, you know, you understand, and then you break it down per day, what people are actually living on in Jamaica. So you know affordability is a huge thing. I think the key thing for us, we have to make sure that we make that change because everybody needs to participate in this whole digital transformation and breaking this digital divide, which is why we're having a thrust to make sure that, for instance, we try and connect as many people as possible. Every 10% in penetration of broadband connectivity delivers a 1.5% equivalent increase in GDP growth. So more people coming in, like Starlink, ourselves, Digicel, and the 40 other cable operators are all in this game to try and connect as many people as possible. The more people you connect, the more data, the more information is consumed. And that includes our culture, that includes our music, that includes all these things. So it's really widening the pie and widening the abilities and the capabilities of our customers in order to get connected. I think, will it help? Will it be beneficial? I'd say to persons that Starlink is just another option. You know, I will compete with them fairly, just as I compete with my other partners or competitors in the space. You know, it's still quite an expensive hurdle to overcome in terms of an outlay of over $60,000 and then a recurring expenditure to get 100 megs download or 150 megs download for over 8,500 Jamaican dollars.
Do they have to come to you for any technology?
Oh yeah, they do have to come to us. I mean, we do offer them backhaul in Jamaica. You know, it's a backhaul through satellites to transmit. So I mean, we have a regional deal through our Cable and Wireless Networks organization in order to facilitate them.
Who are your top 5 all-time favorite musicians, singers, whether reggae, any genre?
You're gonna get me in trouble now.
Top 5.
Call me an ambassador. No, but I am.
Stephen, not Stephen from Flow. Stephen Price. Who you listening to?
Who do I
Top
listen
5.
to? Top 5. Sade is one of my number ones. Right.
A man of taste.
Right. Love Sade to death. Will say to you, these days, love Chronics, love Coffee, love Protege. Outside of that,
One more.
on the actual, been listening to some Skeng recently, right? You know, but I mean, you know, I international artists. I love Sade. I love John Legend. I love that caliber. And then really outside of that, I'm old school. You know, I love Temptations, I love the Drifters, I love those things. I mean, love old school music.
How do you suggest artists sell more records? Reggae have a selling problem, but how do you suggest artists sell more records?
I think reggae is a selling problem because it's a branding problem. You know, I think we have to find better ways to brand it. And I say, it can't be just the artists themselves, right? I think we have to believe as a government, as a private sector, that this is an industry worthy of growth and investment. So we have to invest in how we package it properly in terms of other audiences. I think that's what's been the difference between Afrobeat in recent times. It's just how it's been packaged. You know, it's been packaged properly in the UK. Burna Boy, Davido, all those guys have had proper packaging and management around them in order to drive them. It is a business for them in terms of how they continue to proliferate the brand and where they actually tour. They don't just go to the US, they don't just go to the UK, they go to Australia, they go to other Caribbean markets. Look how many markets Burna Boy has been to in the Caribbean to push his brand and music. So we have to create that kind of engine room behind our artists in order to properly brand them. Let them understand how to use media. Let them understand how to use social media as a tool. Let them understand how wardrobe, all these things play a part in it. Let them understand how listenability of your music is quite important in terms of if your customer can't necessarily make out your lyrics, how they're going to remember it and keep it.
Melodies,
right? You think about even Last. It's a difficult song, right? Because of the accent of Burna Boy. But you find that, for instance, people, even the African words in the song, people have gotten it because there's clarity in how
and he's bringing people over to his side to study his language. Correct. Because he's bridging the gap.
There you go. So I mean, I think there's a couple of things that we have to, and I think really from a culture entertainment, even from a ministry perspective, it's just how do we develop it? I heard the Prime Minister said the other day, he's developing a school for music. Maybe that's not necessarily the way that probably would go, but I think we have to really invest in how we create that kind of engine room, right? You have to start with the kids. You have to create a culture of music. There are hardly any music programs in any high schools or prep schools. The most that our kids go through is a recorder, right? And the moment that music class is done, that recorder is over. introduce them to instruments, introduce them to music, introduce them to genres. You're going to have to build it from there. You know, it's just like sport. If you don't have a feeding program for your Reggae Boys program in terms of about the primary level, junior level, etc., all the way up like what the US has,
Or track and field.
you cannot complain about what is happening with the Reggae Boys. You understand what I mean? And I know new general secretary, those guys will have those things to deal with that. But it's the same way with music. It's like West Indies cricket, and I use this comparison, right? We succeeded for years because of raw talent. Every other country, Australia, England, invested in grassroots, invested in everything. No, they have a pipeline. But we complain about our athletes, but we're not investing there from primary school all the way up in order to create the kind of thing that we want. Same things we need to do with our music and our culture, right? We have to, mostly importantly, create civic pride around our culture. We're adopting too much Americanization. And if you understand what I'm saying, even social media is adding to that because of all the algorithms are just feeding our kids with these things. Use social media safely, but we have to make sure on the curriculum we're teaching about culture, we're teaching music, we're teaching arts as well at this stage. You, right now, our children are not being educated for the jobs of the future. Creativity, critical thinking, those things from finding notes on a guitar, finding notes on a keyboard, finding notes on a violin, those things help to engender the building of those brain cells in our kids. You know, so we have to start building from there. If we don't, you get what you have, you're going to complain for years, slackness, this, that, that, you know, you're going to have those complaints. So we have to do the investment very early.
I've known you for some time, and I don't think I've ever heard you spoke so profound. This is so powerful, Brechin. Stephen, thank you so much, Brechin. Thank you for coming on the BNE show. Join me next week for another guest right here on CBX Flow Channel 143 and Digicel Channel 28. My name is JR Watkis. This is the BNE show.
If it were not for the Jamaica Stock Exchange listing, Phosphate Company Limited would not be where it's at today.
FESCO started from 5 shareholders who believed that they could execute a fuel company as good as or as better than any multinational.
Caribbean flavors and fragrances. I have seen that our company has expanded tremendously after being listed.
Our experience so far has translated into additional customers.
Being listed on the stock exchange allows us a certain prestige. It also speaks to accountability and transparency.
Our transparency has allowed us to access credit easier and at better rates.
We have expanded in terms of our customer base, in terms of our suppliers.
All the fears I had about banks, about losing control, you are having them. And I tell you, they were dissipated when I spoke to the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
So if you're a private company thinking about growing your profits, having better access to capital, I really think you should consider listing on the junior or the main market.
You may have fears in listing on the main market or the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Whatever those fears are, we can help you to allay them. Give us a call today. Our friendly professional staff will help you through the process. Let us have that conversation. Give us that call.
Go ahead, have that conversation as soon as possible. We did it and we're very happy.
Make that call now.
You will be glad you did.